Welcome to our online overview and demonstration of the Platform Application Center, an application-centric portal for Platform LSF clusters. The Platform Application Center makes it easy to build and deploy custom, user-friendly application interfaces for HPC clusters. The Application Center offers numerous advantages to cluster users. They require less training because they don't need to learn obscure job submission and management commands or site-specific scripts. This makes them more productive. They also benefit from reduced error rates and faster workflows, owing to features like proactive notification. Collaboration is improved, particularly with remote users, owing to shared web-based access to simulation data, and cycle times for critical projects are reduced. In fact, with the Platform Application Center, cluster users have instant access to job-related data and status, and can be notified of changes or issues on any device with a browser. Administrators realize several advantages as well. They can reduce their support burden and adopt a common web-based framework to consolidate various tools in their environment. They can identify and remove process-related bottlenecks, increase utilization of their assets, and tightly control exactly how users access their services for simpler management and fewer security headaches. Even administrators with little web-related experience can brand the Application Center to their own look and feel. More sophisticated users can of course modify underlying style sheets for more granular control over the appearance of their own web-based portal. Over the next few minutes, we'll take a quick tour of the Platform Application Center. We'll show how cluster administrators can easily build and use application interfaces, and we'll show how users interact with those interfaces to submit and manage jobs. We'll also show a demonstration of how interactive simulations can be handled using a VNC interface, showing a real parallel fluent simulation accessed directly through the web portal. Let's start with a tour of the Platform Application Center. The Platform Application Center is built on the foundation of the Platform Management Console, or PMC, shown here. It's included with Platform LSF 7 and later releases. It extends PMC functionality to include the ability to design and publish user-friendly application-specific interfaces. Through the PMC, of course, we can do things like monitor the health of our cluster. We see that we have 6 hosts in this small cluster, all up and running. We can also monitor individual hosts. The status of each host becomes immediately visible, and we can mouse over any host for more information. We can filter the hosts displayed in large clusters to see only those that meet certain criteria, or we can change the display preferences. Through the Platform Management Console, both users and administrators can monitor and manipulate jobs on the cluster appropriate to their level of access. A nice feature of the Application Center is the ability to access the data associated with jobs at any time. We see here that for each Platform LSF job, there's an associated archive that's web accessible for easy access. Through this interface, users can monitor and manipulate data files in real time with features like real-time log watching. They can also compress or uncompress files, or even upload documentation useful to other users collaborating on the same project. The Application Center also includes an interface to define application-specific forms. We'll look at that quickly now. Here we see that the administrator can maintain libraries of customized application interfaces that can be selectively shared with users. The interface also includes access to reporting, a standard feature of Platform LSF and the Platform Management Console. Specific to the Platform Application Center is a Remote Console tab that allows us to manage various Remote Console sessions. We'll look at this in just a moment. And finally, as mentioned earlier, configuration of the Platform Application Center and the PMC is performed entirely through the web, making it really easy to manage. We can change basic things like our logo as mentioned earlier without ever leaving the environment. Now let's look in more detail at how a cluster or application administrator can customize an application interface. The Application Center incorporates a set of screens for designing application interfaces. a library of sample application interfaces are included that can be easily cloned or modified. Before we can modify an interface, we need to unpublish it first, so we'll perform this step now. And we'll click OK. Let's edit a user interface for submitting abacus simulations. Each form definition consists of both an interface template and a server-side interface script that interacts with Platform LSF. We can modify both as shown through the web interface. When we're in the edit mode, a field ID is associated with each form element as shown. We can create our own custom field types practically without limit, including select boxes, radio boxes, text inputs, checkboxes, and even custom HTML or text messages. If we want, we can easily drag and drop our fields in the interface builder to place them in different locations. We just drag the built-in queue selector type into the application parameters area. This is a built-in selector type that's automatically aware of the Platform LSF queue configuration. We can edit any field's properties by just clicking on the Edit button. In our example, we have a custom field type called Release, where we want to present a few options to a user to ensure that a valid abacus release number is passed to a server-side script. We eliminate errors by constraining user choices in this fashion. We can generate a list using some preset list generators, or we can create our own custom list as we need here to list our valid software versions. It's worth noting that we can also write our own custom scripts here. To do things like list valid department codes or project codes may be extracted from an SQL database. For each field on the form, we can control properties like initial values, help text, visibility, and whether a field is required or is optional. After editing the application form to be exposed to the user, we can also edit the server-side script without leaving the web interface. These server-side scripts are passed as variables, referencing the contents of our form fields. The Application Center is included with a standard set of paired templates and server-side scripts that can be extended or modified as shown. Cluster administrators will recognize the job submission command here that controls how the job is submitted to LSF. Administrators with only basic scripting skills can easily modify the job submission parameters based on their own site requirements. Now that we've seen how we can define or alter an application interface, let's select Publish to make it visible to our users. Using this interface builder, administrators can build libraries of their own easy-to-maintain self-documenting interfaces for their own applications. Now that we've seen how we build interfaces, let's look at a real example of how our user can submit and manage a real HPC simulation using the Platform Application Center. In our hypothetical scenario, we're wanting to model how fluid runs through a newly designed pressure outlet. We're running Parallel Fluent installed on all our cluster nodes. We'll select a Fluent interface made available to us by the cluster or application administrator. Although we don't have time to show this here, the Platform Application Center also allows individual users to create their own custom versions of these templates with form fields pre-filled with their own common selection choices. We'll give our job a name, and we'll select our Parallel Fluent version and release number. Because our Fluent simulation has a graphical component, we'll enable VNC console support as shown here. We're going to run a DMP Fluent simulation on only 2 hosts, and we use HPMPI. We'll use the Platform LSF ptile directive to indicate that we want to place only one Fluent process per host. Using the application portal allows administrators to explain parameters like this one that could be confusing to users with on-screen documentation, or they can supply default or hidden values. Now we'll select our pre-written Fluent journal file for our simulation. The Fluent journal files can control GUI operations, as we'll see in just a moment. Now we'll similarly upload a Fluent case file that describes the actual system we want to simulate, in this case our pressure nozzle. With our case and journal files specified, we can submit this MPI simulation to Platform LSF. Now we wait for LSF to schedule this job to the best available machines. We can see that the input files required for the simulation already exist in our data repository. We can watch files change here in real time as the job runs. Now we're going to watch how we use the VNC plugin built into the Platform Application Center to monitor and manipulate this Fluent job that we just submitted. We're showing an X Windows example here, but it can also work with a Microsoft Windows environment. Our job is still pending, but we'll select the Remote Console tab now anyway so we can watch the Fluent job start, which I expect will be scheduled by LSF at any moment. Here we go. We can watch as Parallel Fluent starts on our first compute node through the VNC interface. Notice how it's directly embedded into our web browser. Fluent's now loading the case file that we selected earlier. Our control file indicates that we're going to run 50 iterations of this model. And our simulation begins to run. Through the magic of online demos, we'll speed things up a little. At the end of the simulation, our output file is written to the working directory, accessible through the Platform Application Center. We see our simulations complete. Let's select the Data tab and view our results. The job directory appears right beside the name of our completed Platform LSF job. The output and log files are available in the job directory. Files can be downloaded, shared, or otherwise manipulated and are retained on the server until deleted. I didn't necessarily need to monitor this simulation through the VNC interface since it was self-running. I could have just monitored the job from here. And although I didn't show this in the demo, pop-up notification windows in the browser can notify me whenever a job changes state, helping me react to issues faster and improving overall utilization of the cluster and productivity. Let's quickly summarize some of the key benefits of the Platform Application Center. Through the use of the Application Center, we can reduce the requirement for training and also reduce job submission errors. We can improve the ability to collaborate on projects and reduce technical support requirements. We can also simplify the management of complex applications and improve the overall productivity of the environment. Thanks for your time. We hope you've enjoyed this walkthrough of the Platform Application Center.